In just 2 days from right now, we will know who is nominated for the Grammy Awards in 2026. But until then, who do you think will be nominated for Album of the Year, Record and Song of the Year, Best New Artist in all of the genre categories? Because that is what we're sitting down to talk about today. Welcome to Live from Mars. My name is Alex. I am your host. You may also know me as Mars from TikTok, Instagram, wherever you have found me. Welcome. Today is an exciting one because we are finally kicking off Grammy season content, and this is my favorite time of the year. On Friday morning, the Recording Academy is going to unveil their nominations for the 68th Grammy Awards. Before the nominations are officially revealed, I'm going to sit down today to reveal my predictions for the big four categories, those being Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Best New Artist, and then we're going to go through the pop categories, and those include Best Pop Vocal Album, Best Pop Solo Performance, Best Pop Duo/Group Performance, and Best Dance Pop Recording. And those are the 8 categories we're going to talk about today. I have been doing a lot of research. I've been seeing what other industry publications have been predicting. I've been doing my own prediction tracking. So we're going to get into all of this in just a moment. But before we do so, just some housekeeping things. If you are enjoying the Live from Mars podcast, I would love it if you subscribed on your favorite podcast provider, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. Thank you. If you're feeling extra generous, you can throw the podcast a 5-star review. And if you are not already subscribed on Substack, that is my brainchild. That is my number one priority when it comes to content as we wrap up 2025 and head into 2026. Substack, in case you're not familiar with it, it's essentially like Twitter meets a Tumblr blog meets email newsletters. It's kind of everything in one, where I have my own website. It's vinylbymars.substack.com. And you have 2 options when it comes time to subscribing. You have the free tier and you have the paid tier. The free tier gets you access to my Now Spinning newsletter, which I send out every single Friday. And in that Now Spinning newsletter, I break down the best of each week's New Music Friday. I'll give a little mini review. We'll go through what content you may have missed on TikTok, on Instagram that week. Also get access to the Life on Mars Discord channel. And that I expect to be very lively come Friday because of all the nominations dropping. So I will be in there conversing with you guys. So take this as your sign. If you are not already a free subscriber, join the fun over here. If you are more interested in the paid side of things, that is just $5 a month. You can support me as a full-time content creator, and you also get access to the following. Second weekly newsletter called the Pop Pulse. That comes out every single Tuesday, and I break down the biggest music industry news stories. Who's releasing new music on Friday? Who has a new album announcement? Who announced a tour? Any kind of big industry noise. That is in Pop Pulse every Tuesday. You also get access to my unedited full-length version album reactions, music video reactions, song reactions, any kind of reaction content. You get unfiltered, unedited, exclusively on Substack. You also get access to my full-length written album reviews. I do those as well. You get early access to my artist interviews as part of my Spin Swap series. I just actually posted a new one today, so if you're listening to this whenever in the future, there's a new one up there with Moyo. He's an up-and-coming artist out of Ireland, and I highly encourage you to check it out because it's one of my favorite interviews I've done yet. You get all of that for just $5 a month. So if you're interested, the link is vinylbymars.substack.com. But without any further ado, let's get into Grammy talk because I need to talk about this. This is my favorite thing to talk about. So let's do it, shall we? All right. I want to start off with the pop categories and save the big four for later because the pop categories are a little bit more clear cut. Now, the 2026 Grammys are a little bit different. Something feels a little different in the air because there's no Taylor Swift, there's no Beyonce, there's no Billie Eilish album. That is a very clear nomination and very clear potential winner as well. And that opens up the field because pop music in 2025 played things a little bit safer, a little bit more conservative compared to last year. The nominees are likely going to reflect that, but it means that there's a lot more potential for a lot more craziness to happen. And you know the Recording Academy always loves to throw some curveballs in here. So we're going to kick things off with Best Pop Solo Performance. Now, Best Pop Solo Performance may be my favorite category of the night outside of the general field because this is awarding the biggest and best pop song of the year, and that is obviously our bread and butter. Prior winners of this category over the last 5 years include Sabrina Carpenter with Espresso for last year. In 2024 saw Miley Cyrus take home the award for Flowers. Then in 2023, it went to Adele for Easy on Me. 2022, Olivia Rodrigo, Driver's License, and 2021, Harry Styles, Watermelon Sugar. Now, This year, I feel very confident about 3 of the 5 potentials, and let's go through the ones I'm the most confident about. Sabrina Carpenter will surely be nominated in Best Pop Solo Performance for Man-Child. She won this category last year with Espresso. Man's Best Friend, obviously a huge pop release this year. I expect this to be nominated in Album of the Year as well. Now, Man-Child, while it may not have been the monoculture moment that Espresso was last year, still performed incredibly well. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It has arguably been one of, if not the biggest pop hit this year when it comes to streaming and radio performance. Sabrina continues to kill it on the Short and Sweet tour. Man's Best Friend, a big extension of the Short and Sweet universe. While that album I don't personally love as much as Short and Sweet, it still performed commercially well. I also expect to see Justin Bieber's Daisies nominated in Best Pop Solo Performance. Bieber obviously has had a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the Recording Academy over the last few years. They showed him some love when it came to the Justice, I believe it was the Triple Chuck Deluxe edition of the album. Why that name, why the Deluxe edition, whatever, that's what was submitted. When it came time for Changes, which dropped, I want to say that was 2020, that album came out. 2019, Justin was very unhappy that he submitted the album in the R&B field and it was ultimately moved to the pop field, and he made a very public statement about his dissatisfaction with that choice. And then they threw him a bone with Justice, but I do expect Swag to land a little bit better when it came time to nominations this year. Swag was very well received when it came time to critical review, although Swag 2 necessarily didn't carry that through. This is just Swag that is being submitted and likely be shown love here. Daisies, big hit on pop radio, consistent streaming hit, performed very well on the Billboard charts. This is kind of the biggest Justin Bieber single we've had since Peaches, and I expect it to be shown love, especially in the pop field. Whether or not that translates into Record and Song of the Year and Album of the Year for Swag is a very big TBD, but if there's one category that I'm sure he will be nominated in, it would be Daisy's Best Pop Solo Performance. Now, the other nominee that I would put money on is Billie Eilish with Wildflower. And you're probably wondering, how in the world is Billie Eilish possibly able to be nominated for Wildflower when Hit Me Hard and Soft came out last year and was nominated in last year's eligibility period? The answer to that is because Hit Me Hard and Soft was submitted but did not win any award, Wildflower is eligible, and Wildflower was technically released as a single in February of 2025, which puts it into this year's eligibility period. And in case you weren't already familiar, the eligibility period is not followed by a calendar year. It's followed from like September 1st through August 30th or 31st, whatever it was of this year. So Wildflower, I'm pretty sure of. Obviously, Billie Eilish, Grammy favorite, Grammy darling. She has won Song of the Year 2 times already, and she's only been around in the public eye for about 5-6 years now. She won that for Bad Guy in 2020, and What Was I Made For from the Barbie movie in 2024, I think it was. So she's been a very consistent Grammy favorite. Wildflower is one of the most beautiful songs on Hit Me Hard and Soft. It became this huge, gargantuan hit single out of seemingly nowhere because when Hit Me Hard and Soft dropped, Lunch was chosen as the lead single. The fans really chose Birds of a Feather and Wildflower, but it took Wildflower going on tour to see this moment really come to life, to throw the song up the charts. So Wildflower, I would argue, is a very, very strong contender in pop solo performance in addition to Record and Song of the Year. So those are 3 nominees with 2 spots remaining, and those 2 spots I'm stuck between the following 4 songs: Lady Gaga with Disease, Chappell Roan the Subway, Alex Warren with Ordinary, and Gracie Abrams with That's So True. Alex Warren's Ordinary, while I personally think this song is boring as hell, this song was gargantuan. It was a huge, huge, huge hit this year. #1, massive success for Alex Warren. He will be nominated for Best New Artist. It'd be surprising to see him nominated for Best New Artist and not have a pop field category to support that nomination, especially going into the general field with Record and Song of the Year. So I'm leaning a little bit towards Ordinary taking that last spot. Also just because the Grammys tend to, I don't want to say bluntly like play it safe, but this is definitely a safer option, and it does reflect what the sound of pop music was in 2025, whether I like it or not. Now, a song that I would love to be nominated here is Chappell Roan's The Subway, because while this may not have been the biggest Chappell Roan hit, especially compared to Good Luck Babe and Pink Pony Club, The Subway is a beautiful song. Dan Nigro is a beloved part of the Academy. Chappell Roan is a beloved part of the Academy. The two of them together created magic with this song. It did have a top 10 debut. It did perform decently, although it wasn't a massive hit. But the same could really be said for Lady Gaga and Disease. Lady Gaga, I expect to walk away, and we'll get to this, with probably the most nominations of the night, maybe even more than Kendrick. Now, interestingly, Disease is being submitted for Best Pop Solo Performance, while Abracadabra is being submitted for Best Dance Pop Recording. And I think this is genius because, one, it doubles your chances of having a potential nomination and win. Two, it shines light on the lead single and the bigger hit from this era was Abracadabra over Disease. And third, Lady Gaga has had success in the dance pop, dance recording categories in the past. She took home the award for Bad Romance in Best Dance Recording. And let me just check to make sure this is correct before I spew some potential BS on you. No, this is correct. At the 52nd Annual Grammys, the Fame won the Grammy Award for Best Electronic/Dance Album the same year that Poker Face won Best Dance Recording. The following year, Lady Gaga took home Pop Vocal Album for the Fame Monster and Female Pop Vocal Performance for Bad Romance. And Dance in the Dark was nominated for Dance Recording. So the dance pop area has been largely successful for Lady Gaga in the past. I think Abracadabra in that category we'll get to is a surefire lock to be nominated and even potentially win. But in terms of pop solo performance, I'm going to land right now on Daisy's Justin Bieber, Sabrina Carpenter Manchild, Billie Eilish Wildflower, Alex Warren Ordinary. I'm going to throw it to Chappell Roan in the Subway just because Abracadabra was the bigger hit from Gaga this era. The Academy may feel like they're awarding Gaga with the nomination in dance pop recording and the rest of the field, so maybe pop solo opens up a little bit of a room for someone else. So that is Best Pop Solo Performance. Moving on, I guess we'll just naturally go into Best Dance Pop Recording since I already kind of opened that can of worms. The nominees for this category that I'm expecting to come through on Friday are Lady Gaga's Abracadabra, Disco Lines and Tinashe's No Broke Boys, and you're probably wondering this is a remix, why is it nominated in Best Dance Pop Recording? It's because this is technically billed as Disco Lines and Tinashe, so it's technically a collaboration and it's eligible for this category. I would love to see Tinashe get some Grammy love. Next up, I would see Tate McRae Just Keep Watching be nominated in this category. Just Keep Watching was a huge hit. It comes from the F1 movie soundtrack. You could see that nominated in Best Compilation Soundtrack, whatever that category is down the line. And Tate has had a massive year. This has really been the breakthrough year for Tate McRae between the success of the album So Close to What, It's Okay, I'm Okay, Two Hands, Sports Car, Just Keep Watching too. Like all these big moments for Tate. I would expect her to be nominated in this category in a way where she's kind of making up for not getting something in pop solo or the big fields, but this is a fine spot for her. This even could be a real contender to take it home. The other two spots I'm not as sold on. I'm definitely more sold on Pink Pantheress as illegal deserving a nomination, but whether or not they'll actually throw her the bone is a big question mark. And then lastly, I have David Guetta in Sia's Beautiful People. David Guetta has found a consistent home in this category. I'd be very surprised to not see them here. That is dance pop recording. Let's go into pop duo/group performance. And this is another one where I'm very certain about 3 of them, and then 4 potentials. Depending on the way that things go in the other fields, it will likely transcend into this one. For best pop duo/group performance, I am predicting these nominees. Absolute lock, potential favorite to even take home the award, is Rosé and Bruno Mars' Apate. This was a huge, huge hit. This is a really big breakthrough for K-pop with the Academy. I'd be shocked if this is not nominated here and in Record of the Year. Bruno Mars, obvious Grammy favorite. He won for Die With a Smile last year with Lady Gaga. Pretty much anything Bruno Mars touches, the Grammys will give a win. So I'd be shocked to see this one not here. This is definitely a front runner for the category. I think its biggest competition is going to come from Kendrick Lamar and SZA with 30 for 30. Another collaboration I'm very sure of is because of the massive success of K-pop Demon Hunters. I definitely expect to see Golden get a nomination here from Huntrix. I'm not as set in stone whether or not it will make the move to Record and or Song of the Year this year, just because it is from like a children's movie and it's a Netflix movie soundtrack. I don't know how much weight that will pull from the Recording Academy, but can't deny how big this song has been. #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. If there's a category kind of like Daisy's in Best Pop Solo Performance, Golden will find a home in Best Pop Duo/Group. I would love to see Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande's Defying Gravity nominated here. I think there's a definite shot for this nomination, just given how much the Academy has shown love to Cynthia and Ariana in the past. You can't deny how massive the Wicked movie has become, both last year and this year. I'd be very surprised if the Academy didn't try to show it's with the times and with these musical legends and this song being a musical legend. Now, the last spot I have torn between 3, and I'm going to save the one I'm most sure of and I think we'll get it last. A lot of industry insiders are quoting Dolly Parton and Sabrina Carpenter's remix of Please, Please, Please that will be nominated in this category. To me, I understand it because Sabrina's beloved and Dolly is Dolly, but Please, Please, Please was already nominated for Song of the Year at last year's Grammy Awards, so to have basically the same song nominated again a year later kind of feels like a way of getting around a rule, and I don't know what precedent it would really start to set from the Academy, so I'm leaning a little bit less towards that one, but it wouldn't surprise me if it made it in. Coldplay with All My Love. The Academy has a weird relationship with Coldplay. I feel like whenever they put something out over the last few years, it gets a nomination, even in the big categories as well, Album of the Year. And again, just because it's Coldplay, I could see them pulling through something here. But the one I'm most confident in, and I'm going to make my fifth and final spot, is Elton John and Brandi Carlile's Who Believes in Angels. Elton John, obviously a massive figure in pop history, pop culture. He has been a massive influence in pop music. He doesn't often win the nominations that he's there for, but he often is nominated. Brandi Carlile, though, this is a match made in heaven. The two of them came together for the album of the same name. Brandi is literally like Grammy bait. Anything she puts out, like Bruno Mars, finds a way to be nominated. So definitely think that of these last three, Elton and Brandi, I would expect to pull through a spot here. Now for the big kahuna, Best Pop Vocal Album. I am predicting the nominees for Best Pop Vocal Album will be the following: Justin Bieber with Swag, Sabrina Carpenter, Man's Best Friend, Lady Gaga with Mayhem, The Weeknd with Hurry Up Tomorrow, and that last spot, I am torn again between what I really want to happen and what I think just could be the safe bet. The safe bet would be Coldplay's Moon Music. Again, like I said before, it's an easy throw. It's an easy opportunity to give them a little bit of a bone. Sparks has had a massive year in 2025. 25 years after it came out, it reached its highest point on the Billboard Hot 100 to date, and that could be reflected in a Moon Music nomination. The tour, the never-ending Music of the Spheres tour. Tate McRae is so close to what I think could land something here, but just because they haven't been so receptive to Tate in the past when there's proven data to support the potential other nominee that has proven that she is a success in this category and successful with the Grammys as a whole, I'm not going to be dead set on a Tate nomination here. What I'm really, 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 really hoping is the fifth nominee in this category is Miley Cyrus's Something Beautiful. This will go down as 2025's most criminally underappreciated album. This is by far Miley's best album. It is substantially better than Endless Summer Vacation, which came out during 2023 and was eligible in 2024. Miley won for Flowers in Pop Solo Performance, and she won Record of the Year for the same song. Miley won with Beyonce for Two Most Wanted last year. The Grammys are finally waking up to Miley Cyrus, and while this album didn't perform commercially well, this album was reviewed very favorably by critics. This is a very bold artistic statement, and I can see the Academy playing that in here. And the album, personally, is possibly my album of the year, guys. I'm still obsessed with this project and have been pretty much since the day it came out. So the fan in me is really hoping that Miley gets a nomination at all, let alone in this category. And if there's going to be a category for it, it probably would be pop vocal album. But those are the pop categories. And I'm very curious to know what you guys think of these predictions. So make sure you drop a comment wherever you're watching. Let me know. I'm sure you will. But that leaves us with the big four: Album of the Year, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. Let's kick things off with Best New Artist. Best New Artist is always a funny category because even though the artist may not have officially debuted in this eligibility period, this award is awarding the artist who had the biggest breakthrough year during the eligibility period. And that keyword, breakthrough, is very important here. So for Best New Artist, I am predicting the following nominees to come through. Now, we have 8 spots to work with, and in classic Alex fashion, because I'm indecisive, I have 6 absolute locks, and then I have 2 potentials that may take up spot 7 and 8, with a few others kind of hanging in the shadows. Number 1 is probably the biggest Trojan horse of the race that has thrown the most action into the Best New Artist race over the last few months, which really isn't even technically part of this year's eligibility period, but that goes to Olivia Dean. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I randomly came across Olivia Dean 3 years ago and have been telling you all that she is the moment, she is the next best thing, she is going to win Best New Artist one day, and this is her moment. And I've been very interested in whether or not Olivia will be submitted and even be nominated for Best New Artist in this year, because technically her album that came out in September, The Art of Loving, is not eligible this year, it's eligible next year. So Olivia Dean being nominated for Best New Artist would be absolutely incredible. I would freak the fuck out and it would be just the best moment ever. But in terms of like the technical way of her going about this has been a breakthrough year for her. With just how much attention is on her right now, it would be a shame for her to not be nominated this year and take advantage of this rise to fame. Outside of Olivia Dean, we have the Marias. We have Addison Rae as an artist who I would love to see nominated in this category. Her debut album, Addison, was very well received critically. It did do well commercially. Addison Rae, somebody who worked exclusively with female artists when creating this album. She also was at the Grammy Museum doing some For Your Consideration promo campaigns. I would love to see this here. I think it's a little bit of a potential push just because of the fact that she comes with a lot of notoriety and baggage from her TikTok days. But in terms of just delivering on quality music, in terms of delivering on a Best New Artist campaign, I think she deserves a spot here. You then have Somber. Somber is an absolute lock to be nominated in this category. He is a real contender to take home the win come February. The Grammys are in February, right? Yep, February 1st. Cool. Between the success of Back to Friends, Dressed, 12 to 12, his album I Barely Know Her performing pretty well as well. These singles have really been the soundtrack to 2025 on a Billboard Hot 100 perspective, on a streaming perspective. He's a huge player. You then have Alex Warren, somebody that, I don't personally get the gist behind, but he's had a really big year. Again, kind of reflecting that shift towards conservative, safer pop music in 2025, Ordinary being the real crux of it, really the big anthem of 2025. And our song of the summer, if you're just listening to the audio, that was in quotation marks. Lola Young, I think, is a really great contender for this category. I think she deserves to be nominated between how big Messy was. So those 6 nominees, I feel very, very confident in saying they will be nominated. The last 2 spots are a little bit more up for grabs. And right now I'm leaning towards Leon Thomas taking one of those spots, given how successful Mutt has been this year, given that he's been an industry songwriter and player for many, many years. And then the last spot I think could go to Megan Moroney because there's usually a country nominee in this category to show some respect to that genre, even though they never really end up pulling through a win. So Megan Moroney would be the pick here from a country perspective. But then you also have Maria the Scientist with Burning Blue that was very big this year, continuing to grow. And then Raven Lenae, someone who I've been watching very closely, Love Me Not, huge hit this year. She kind of does an interesting blend of very modern, almost experimental R&B with very classic Motown flavor as well and influences that I would be not surprised if she came through with a nomination, just given how that can appeal to very different audiences within the Academy. But I feel like Leon Thomas plays a little bit more to just classic Best New Artist mentality of someone who's been chugging in the industry for years. Again, just my picks. We'll see what happens. Now, Record and Song of the Year. Do you know the difference between Record of the Year and Song of the Year? Because many people do not, and they're actually awarding very different sets of artists. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Record of the Year is honoring the recording, whereas Song of the Year is honoring the songwriters. If a song wins the award for Record of the Year, that award goes to the vocalist, the producers on the track, audio engineers, mixers, masterers, anyone who made that specific recording of the song. And traditionally, that award will go towards more like the bigger pop song, the bigger rap song, the one that has the bigger, crazier production that was a more classic hit. Song of the Year awards the songwriters. For example, if Billie Eilish's Wildflower is nominated for Song of the Year, but Billie herself did not write the song, only Phineas did. If Wildflower won for Song of the Year, only Phineas would get the award, not Billie. If the song won for Record of the Year, they would both get it in addition to anyone else who helped create that recording of the song that we know today. So again, Record of the Year, recording, Song of the Year, songwriters. Now, the nominations for Record and Song of the Year often have a lot of crossover. There may be one or two that differ, but for the majority of the time, the nominations are very consistent across the board. This year, Record of the Year feels a little bit more predictable than Song of the Year, but these are my predictions for Record of the Year first. This is so hard. Even though I have my list up in front of me, I'm looking at those that I left off the list, and I'm still questioning whether or not I made the right calls. Okay, Record of the Year, I'm predicting that Bad Bunny's DTMF will be nominated in this category. A big part of this year in culture in music was Bad Bunny. He is playing the Super Bowl halftime show, which is a week after the Grammys happen, so there's a lot of timing that will work out for Bad Bunny if he pulls through nominations and even wins here. DTMF, very meaningful song about how he wishes he took more photos throughout life to have these memories and play into that more. I can see that being awarded heavily in record and even possibly song of the year. Justin Bieber, Daisies. I think it would be a really big moment for Justin if he pulled through a nomination here. I'm a little less confident in this one, just given the track record with Bieber and the songs that may be left out if he took this spot. Sabrina Carpenter, Man-Child, absolute lock for Record of the Year. Lady Gaga's Abracadabra is absolutely a frontrunner for Record of the Year. Huge moment for Gaga. It debuted at last year's Grammys. It's a very nice full circle moment. Gaga will likely be nominated in the pop categories and in Album of the Year and possibly even Song of the Year for Abracadabra as well. Mayhem, huge return to form, very commercially successful with Die With a Smile, even winning Grammys last year. It's already a Grammy-winning album. Abracadabra, the song itself, the production here is enthralling. It feels like a return to classic old Gaga while she's making strides to reinvent herself and bring in new elements of production, leaning a little bit heavier into this darker, grungier side of her artistry. Abracadabra is an absolute lock to be nominated in this category. I would argue it's the frontrunner alongside Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Luther. I've said it many times before, I'll say it again. Kendrick, Grammy favorite, swept last year. SZA, absolutely adored, has had so much success with nominations for the Grammys, plays a little bit more intensely in the genre categories rather than the general field, but you can't deny how massive this song was this year. Even though it technically came out last year, it's still part of this year's eligibility period. Number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Their sold-out tour together makes great inroads for this song. This is 100% going to be nominated, and this and Abracadabra, I would argue, with the frontrunners. Rosé and Bruno Mars with Apathy is definitely more of a Record of the Year play than Song of the Year play. I would expect this one to land, given everything I said before in Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. Bruno Mars, Grammy favorite, absolutely adored. Anything Bruno Mars touches is seemingly nominated and even wins Grammy Awards, so having him in Record of the Year is a very, very strong chance that it will get pushed through. Rosé, huge year for her, huge year for all of the Blackpink girls. And given that K-pop hasn't had the best track record with the Recording Academy so far in its lifetime, if they were going to try to make a push to extend an olive branch to K-pop, it would be in the form of this song. Huge radio hit, very successful on the charts. Rosé, Apathy, definitely going to be nominated here. I would also expect to see The Weeknd and Playboi Carti's Timeless nominated in this category, given the big stink that the Grammys made about reuniting with The Weeknd after they famously snubbed him with After Hours and Blinding Lights back in 2020, 2021. He made his grand return to the Grammy Awards during last year's telecast, performing live on stage. It would be a huge middle finger to The Weeknd and his label and everyone involved if they made this grand gesture to not nominate Timeless, to not nominate Hurry Up Tomorrow in a lot of these categories. So this one I expect to come through. Again, huge streaming hit, billions of streams on streaming platforms, very successful with the charts. It was critically received well as well. So this one I expect to see here. And then the last spot I want to say cautiously will go to Billie Eilish with Wildflower. Again, Billie Eilish, Grammy favorite. She's been nominated in this category many times before. A potential makeup opportunity for Hit Me Hard and Soft and Birds of a Feather, possibly unfairly being robbed in these categories. Birds of a Feather, huge success last year. One of, if not Billie's biggest hit of all time now. So Wildflower being nominated here, I would argue it should be in Song of the Year more than Record of the Year, given how important and impactful the songwriting is to this one. And I'm not just talking like lyrical songwriting, I'm talking like the actual music itself is so beautiful. And Song of the Year does tend to favor ballads more than Record of the Year. So I can see her pulling a nomination off here, but if they wanted to play it a little bit crazy and not mirror exactly what's going to happen between Record and Song of the Year, there are many people waiting in the shadows who would love this spot, and those could potentially go to Huntrix from K-Pop Demon Hunters, Golden, huge song this year. You have Gracie Abrams with That's So True, former nominee for Best New Artist. This song was huge this year. You then have Alex Warren's Ordinary, massive hit this year, #1 success. So that last spot really could go between Billie, Gracie, Chappell, Alex Warren. You could even throw Messy Lola Young in there, Back to Friends. Somber definitely has a lower odds of this pulling through, but I want to play it a little bit crazy and say that Alex Warren's Ordinary is going to take this spot in Record of the Year to give Wildflower the spot in Song of the Year. So that's just my crazy prediction. We'll see what happens. But these are my predictions for who I think will be nominated for Song of the Year at the Grammys this year. Sabrina Carpenter, Man-Child. Billie Eilish's Wildflower. Billie Eilish is a 2-time winner in this category from Bad Guy in 2020 and What Was I Made For from the Barbie movie. Lady Gaga with Abracadabra. Kendrick Lamar and SZA with Luther. Kendrick won this category last year with Not Like Us. Again, given how much of a play he's likely going to be with nominations this year, definitely expect him and SZA to land here with Luther. Chappell Roan's The Subway. Bad Bunny's DTMF. Justin Bieber with Daisies. Record of the Year feels a little bit more predictable because Apate is a definite contender in Record of the Year and not really Song of the Year. The same goes for The Weeknd and Playboi Carti's Timeless. That's a player and record, not really song. So that opens up 2 spots. I'm very clearly banking on Justin Bieber's Daisies to pull something out here, which I could very easily see not happening, but these are just my fun predictions. And that leaves us with the last category of the evening, shall we? These are my predictions for who I think will be nominated for Album of the Year at the Grammys. Bad Bunny's DTMF. This came out at the beginning of the calendar year. Huge moment for Bad Bunny. The Grammys haven't really shown so much love to Bad Bunny in the past, but this year marks a huge difference with the Academy because Latin Grammy voters are now eligible to be voting for the main Grammy Awards as well, which brings in a lot more support for Benito. Sabrina Carpenter's Man's Best Friend. She was nominated in this category for Short and Sweet last year, and Short and Sweet took home the award for Best Pop Vocal Album. Elton John and Brandy Carlisle's Who Believes in Angels I expect to be nominated in this category. Elton, musical legend. Brandy Carlisle, Grammy favorite, Grammy darling. I would definitely expect this album to play here. They also do tend to show favoritism towards this, like, not traditional pop album, but there's always kind of that more traditional spot given in Album of the Year, whether it's Jon Batiste or it was Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett with Love for Sale and Cheek to Cheek. There's that more traditional play, even though this is more of a pop forward production. So I would expect to see Elton and Brandy here. Lady Gaga's Mayhem, an absolute frontrunner. Many saw this as Lady Gaga's proper return to form. Mayhem is not only a lock to be nominated for Album of the Year, but it is 100% a frontrunner to take home the award. Lady Gaga has been nominated for 38 Grammys and has never won an award in the main field. Her biggest competition, Kendrick Lamar's GNX. Now, the two of them have very similar stories when it comes time to a potential win. Both of them have never won Album of the Year before, and both of them have cases to have taken home the award when they didn't. Kendrick more so than Gaga. And because you have the story of Beyonce and Cowboy Carter at this most recent year's Grammys, where Beyonce had very famously been nominated for Album of the Year over and over again, and she never took home the win, Cowboy Carter was the time to finally give Beyonce her long-awaited Album of the Year win. Is that the album that Beyonce should have won Album of the Year for of her entire discography if there was just one? Probably not, but this was awarding the moment. And I expect a similar narrative to really help both Kendrick and Gaga. Another nomination that I'm expecting to see is The Weeknd's Hurry Up Tomorrow. And although Hurry Up Tomorrow may be my least favorite of this trilogy of The Weeknd projects between After Hours, Dawn FM, and Hurry Up Tomorrow, the Academy made such a return for The Weeknd at this most recent year's award ceremony that it'd be shocking if he's not nominated here. It would be a really big middle finger. So yeah, definitely expecting to see Hurry Up Tomorrow in this category. And then there are 2 more spots, and I'm not sold on them. They could really go in a bunch of different directions across Coldplay's Moon Music, given everything I said before just about Coldplay being this lasting figure in music history. Sparks having this huge moment this year, although Moon Music itself didn't necessarily yield such commercial success. Coldplay is always a figure in music, and I believe Music of the Spheres was nominated for Album of the Year. It obviously didn't win, but I think it was nominated. You then have Tyler, the Creator's Chromacopia. Huge year for Tyler. He took home awards in the rap categories in the past for his last 2 releases. Chromacopia had a huge first week sales debut. The tour has been very successful for him. He also released Don't Tap the Glass this year, so he's been very prolific, and the Grammys love to award that. Similar to how Folklore and Evermore came out in the same year, Evermore really helping Folklore's chances of Album of the Year. You could look at Don't Tap the Glass helping Chromacopia in a similar way. You could look at Leve. Leve being nominated for A Matter of Time would be a huge moment for Leve. I feel like she's really done the work and been in the industry long enough now to have this Album of the Year potential moment. You could throw it to Jon Batiste for Big Money or Beethoven Blues. Justin Bieber's Swag could make a huge mark here. You also have Bon Iver's Sable Fable. Tons of critical praise for that project. So we have 6 that I'm sure about. If I'm going to throw 2 more in there, I want to say right now I'm going to throw, I don't know. You could honestly throw the Clips release in here too. Let God Sort Him Out. I can see that coming through. Just given it had been like 15 years. I'm going to say Tyler is a good choice for spot 7, and then spot 8. I'm going to leave for either Leve or Clips. I'll let them take it from here. I can't make that decision. I'm too indecisive. But those are my predictions for 8 different Grammy categories. And I surely hope that on Friday I can report to you all that I was very on the money. But I don't expect to be, because that is the fun of all of this. It's all just a guess. But again, please make sure you sound off with your thoughts in the comments, because I really want to know what you're thinking about this. And again, if you are not already subscribed to the Substack, you can get in by being a free member to my Discord. I'm very excited for Friday to get to sit there and talk with all of you guys about it. I will be reacting to all of the Grammy nominations as they come through Friday morning. That full unedited reaction will be live on Substack exclusively, with then the little bit cut down versions going live up on TikTok, Instagram, wherever. But if you want that full length reaction to the Grammy nominations, Substack is the place for that. And I'm done talking because I am exhausted. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the podcast. I really appreciate you guys listening, as always. Again, if you are not already following the podcast on your favorite podcast provider, it would mean the world to me if you did so, and throw the podcast a 5-star review if you feel that way. But thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of Live from Mars. I will see you all next time, where we react to the Grammy nominations, see how well I predicted them, and talk about who we think will win at that point. But hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you all next time. Bye.